I'm Christopher Clark, Town Administrator for the Town of Harwich. I thought I would dedicate another one of these meetings to kind of explaining the ballot question for the Cape Cod Tech School. I know it's a little bit of a confusing process, and I'd like to jokingly say that there's not anything you can think of that there's not a state regulation that applies to it. So this is no exception. So I thought what I would do, just for clarity's sake, is kind of walk through again, and actually this time I have the ballots themselves for what they'll look like, and just take a few minutes to walk people through. So I think a lot of folks know, or hopefully you know, that the Cape Cod Tech has gone through a process. They've done a feasibility study, they've now done design plans, and they've come up with a recommendation that is going to be their project and what will be funded. Just a little bit by way of background, I do sit on the school building committee, so I've had an opportunity to be privy to that discussion. Really, in a nutshell, the best way to visualize this, or the best way to describe it, is that they went in, the school building committee, they looked at the project, they looked at the needs, the program, the age of the building, the functionality of the building. And what they came out with was an initial determination that the project looked like a new school was going to be about $140 million, and a renovation would be about $125. And after doing due diligence and doing the work and deciding to put a new school on the same site, that the cost of that new school came down to $128 million. So now the committee and the school committee had the issue of, do you build new, or do you have a period of disruption where you have a lot of portable classrooms, you have a period of uncertainty in the school system for maybe a couple years? That what made more sense? And the school committee and the school building committee said that we might as well start from a new product, a new building, so that way we get better life out of it and built to standards that exist today. So to that end, and pursuant to their governing document, that they have a process in which I believe there's 12 towns that are part of the district. All 12 towns on October 24th will be asked to vote on one question. And that question is, do you agree with allowing for the school committee to construct a building for $128 million on the existing site? And I'm going to hold this up. The ballot itself will be gray, and as you can see, it has on here, maybe you can't see, so I won't presume, that each of the towns are listed, and our portion of that $128 million is $10,721,000. So the overall ballot that authorizes the school tech, the Cape Tech School Committee to go forward with the project is the first ballot, for actually the ballot that most people will have. So in our case, our portion of that is $10,721,000. If all the towns, or some of the towns, vote it down and some of the towns vote favorably, it takes the cumulative total. So if the cumulative total for the project is favorable, so 50% plus 1, then the project goes forward. The project is adopted. Now, what does that mean specifically for the town of Harwich? I think folks have been aware and are very familiar with that we have debt exclusions. When we have projects that are too big to do, we borrow money and then we go out and ask the voters to cover that. Well, in Harwich, the Board of Selectmen had the foresight to look and authorize for a ballot to be put forth, a second ballot that will be on for October 24th at the same hours. I believe the hours are 12 to 8, 12 in the afternoon to 8 at night. And in this ballot, this is short enough, so I am going to read it. shall the town of Harwich be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 and 1/2, so-called, the amounts required to pay the town's allocable share of the bond issue by the Cape Cod Regional Technical High School for the purposes of paying the cost of designing, constructing, and originally equipping and furnishing a new district high school to be located at 351 Pleasant Lake Ave, Harwich, including the payment of all costs. So I think last time, and that ballot for us is going to be a white ballot. So for Town of Harwich residents who choose to vote on that day, you have two choices that are on the same project. The gray ballot is, do you believe that the new school should be constructed? So that's the gray ballot. The Town of Harwich ballot is, okay, if the system decides to go ahead and approve the school, our assessment is $10,721,000. We don't have the financial ability to just pay for that within Proposition 2 1/2. So we do need to have a debt exclusion. This debt exclusion is a little bit different because there's a debt exclusion regarding our assessment that we receive from Cape Cod Regional Technical High School. So if our assessment now is about $1.3 million, and this is about $675,000 a year for 30 years, then that additional assessment goes from 1.3 to $2 million. So we have the 1.3, if you would, kind of built into the base budget. We don't have the 700,000 built in, or the 675. So this is the ballot, our ballot, which is only in Harwich, that will allow for residents to say, yes, we believe in the project, so it's almost like committing to building a house, and then here's the mortgage payment for how we're actually going to pay for that house to be paid off. So it is a debt exclusion, so at the end of that 30-year borrowing, when that $675,000, the last payment falls off, then that tax obligation and that additional tax revenue goes away. So it is a little bit confusing. I wish we could have had one ballot that had both, but pursuant to state law, it requires that the ballot for the school be separate and the question be separate about, do you believe in the project or not, or want to go forward with the project or not. And then the second one, which we've added, is how do we pay for it here in Harwich? So the white ballot is the how do we pay for it, and it would be above and beyond Proposition 2 1/2, so we would do an additional assessment, as we've indicated previously on these videos. So I just hopefully that's a simpler way for folks to understand. I appreciate having the opportunity now to have the ballot. I certainly see the Cape Cod Regional Tech, a lot of material in there. They're trying to explain the project. And really the second one is for us, how we're going to pay for it. So hopefully I did get the high sign that I think we're about 8 minutes in. So I try to keep these to about 5 to 10. So I think I'm somewhat in the range. But that's what's going on. And on October 24th, I always ask whether you are in favor of the project or opposed to the project. Please do your civic duty and go out and vote. I think it's important for the community at large to participate in their democracy. So Christopher Clark, thank you for your time and attention.